as it gets.
Hey, this is Marcia Prince, IFBB Bikini Pro and Guest Berry Nutrition spokesmodel, and you are listening to the UCW radio show, In Your Face.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
You're listening to UCW Radio.
In your face.
Give it to me, baby.
Welcome to another segment of UCW Radio, and on today's show we will be featuring a pro wrestler, Scotty Riggs. He's a former WCW Tag Team Champion, which was acquired by the WWE a little while back, and during his stint he teamed up with Marcus Alexander Bagwell, aka Buff Bagwell, the brother of baseball player Jeff Bagwell. He's done a lot of great things during his career. He was also with ECW with his buddy Rob Van Dam. That was also acquired by the WWE. And he was with TCW, that's Dusty Rhodes' organization. He was with them for a little bit before they folded. And we will be getting into some things with Scotty. So let's get the latest from him. Let's get him on the line.
Scotty, welcome to UCW Radio. I want to thank you in advance for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with us today.
Well, Lou, it's my pleasure to be a part of UCW and your radio program. And, man, I've heard nothing but good things about you, so let's get this thing rolling.
All right, let's rock and roll. Now, Scotty, everybody knows you're a pro wrestler, formerly of World Championship Wrestling, Extreme Championship Wrestling. Both of these wrestling organizations got taken over by the WWE. You were a tag team champion in one of the top two wrestling organizations in the world during that time, and you achieved what most pro wrestlers just dream about. Now, I'd like to go back when you first started in wrestling, in the business, and kind of find out how you got involved in it in the first place.
Well, I mean, honestly, I started off as an 8-year-old fan of it. My dad used to take me to the events in Savannah, Georgia, where I was born and raised. And we used to go watch Mid-Atlantic, which had Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Blackjack Mulligan, Wrestling 2, Dick Slater, all those cool cats on there way back in the late 70s, early 80s, had that real good mix in there. You used to go see them at Savannah Civic Center every other weekend, which was really cool back then, but, I basically grew up as a fan and then progressed out of that to where I went to West Georgia College, got my degree in business management, and happened to meet a guy who wrestled as Nightmare, Ted Allen. This guy had a lot of influence with Arn Anderson, Tracy Smothers, Randy Anderson, the referee, Big Boss Man. A lot of people that came out of the northeast part of Georgia,
The
Rome area. Pardon me?
The NWA days.
Yeah, exactly. Way back the old NWA days. But he actually helped train a lot of those guys. Worked a lot with Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson. And the only thing that kept this guy from really making a big time was the fact that he was Rey Mysterio's size before Rey Mysterio's size was cool.
Right.
So, but this guy was multi-talented, knew the basics, taught us really well, and in that time I started working for a bunch of different promoters, from Greg Price, who ran South LA Pro, to Jim Cornette, who ran Smoky Mountain, to even Jerry the King Long, who ran USWA, and got my break basically working WCW under Ole Anderson when he was the booker at the time, but they only had me on a nightly deal. Actually left there of my own accord and went to work for Jerry the King Lawler in USWA back in January of 95 to August of 95 when Jimmy Hart noticed me and Bagwell had done a music video for MTV, which aired on their Buzz Cuts, which was a group called AHA. We did a video for them. And Kemper Rogers, the guy who was producing it and editing it, saw Jimmy Hart, saw the work being done. And at that time, the Patriot had left WCW, Lee Bagwell kind of floundering a little bit.
Right.
And Jimmy Hart saw, hey, the Fantastics, the Rock Roll Express, that type of thing out of me and Bagwell.
Right.
So he put me and Bagwell together, and that's how he came out with the American Males, which again, yes, we won the WCW World Tag Team Champions in Johnson City back in 95 on the third ever Nitro. Guest star on Heat. And proudly wore those belts for a good 3-6 months, right in that range, defending them as often as we could, and just had a blast being a part of a traveling crew, which extended me, myself, the Icon Sting, and the Total Package Les Luger. We actually were the four horsemen, I guess you could say, of good guys, even though we never did it in front of the camera.
Right.
We did it a whole lot on the golf course, in the gym, in rental cars, hotels, you name it. We basically have become best friends. We trained together. We did a lot of things together, and that's basically how my wrestling career started. And me and Rob Van Dam happened to have become really, really good friends, and are great friends as of today. Still, we talk at least once, twice a week, either text, phone call, me and his wife Sonia, and their mom and dads, and everything else. Keep in contact on a regular basis, even though Rob's on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. And I actually met Rob through that, and Rob was one of the guys that when I left WCW pushed to get Paul E. Dangerously and Tommy Jr. and those guys to get me in ECW,
That's
which they did.
And how long was the span from your WCW, when you left WCW, until you hit the ECW?
Let's just say WCW, we were administered drug tests randomly, but and then every 6 months, company-wide, we did the full extent physical, hair, blood, urine, everything in the world you can think of, because we were owned by Ted Turner.
Right.
And Ted Turner's checks don't bounce.
Right.
And then it came down to Paul Heyman. The first thing Paul said was, well, you passed the drug test here and you're automatically fired. Yeah. Oh, so you got the humor of that one. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that was truly, ECW itself was very historic in the fact that the fans were not only a part of the show, but like the wrestlers were, but they were even more a part because they are the ones who almost made or break you, whether or not you are WCW fans made ECW the originator that it was.
Yeah, I agree with that.
WCW, they ran shows or nitros, of course, nationwide in front of 20, 30, 40,000 people. But that's cool. That's great. That's nationwide, millions of people on TV. But the ECW in front of 500 to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, but have those people screaming, and the fact that most of the guys, the wrestlers, competitors, their egos were driven not by what belt they held or what status they held in the company, but their egos were driven by the matches they had.
Oh, yeah.
They really, really try to do each other on the matches.
Well, if you think back then, Scotty, back then you had WCW, so that's a different animal. You had the promoter or the heads of the organization, the back office, dictating who did what, where, why, and making the start. Even in WWE today, that's what they do in the back office. ECW, you had a whole type of thing where the fans dictated whether they wanted you to be a star or not. No matter how much they push you,
exactly.
The fans who
exactly.
what you were going to be.
I mean, I'll be brutally honest and say this without repercussion, because I don't care what anybody else thinks or says or does. WWE has some of the best guys from Triple H, who I know very, very well, to the Hardys. They have some of the most incredibly talented, gifted athletes in the world, but every one of them want to be a celebrity. Every one of them want to be in movies. They want to use WWE as a stepping stone in a sense. I mean, you look at The Rock, you look at
John Cena.
John Cena, who don't know wristwatch from a wristwatch, but he's their world champion, but he moves a lot of merchandise. I look at Raw, and I look at SmackDown, I look at Superstars, whatever they do, as basically 2-hour infomercials that sell pay-per-views, that sell merchandise, because if you notice, every wrestler walks out with their own t-shirt on.
Right.
Every wrestler walks out with a WWE t-shirt on,
it's marketing,
pay-per-view t-shirt on.
It's marketing through. It's about selling product, and that's what they're doing.
It's all about, and Vince McMahon will be the first one to tell you, I'm not in the wrestling game. I'm a television show based on wrestling.
Yep.
Well, anybody else that's, and when you look back at it in the day, Raw versus Nitro, we used to do about 4.1, 3.8 to 4.1 on a Nielsen rating schedule, Nielsen ratings, and on our worst we do like a 2.9, which, just say it's 1 million viewers.
Right.
And then you'd have, and that'd be just Nitro, you'd have a 3.1. So that's 3.1 million people watching. And then Raw would have on its own accord, just say 2.5, 2.5 million viewers. Nowadays, you look at the Nielsen ratings, and they're drawing 2 point what, or 2.2, somewhere along the line, 3 million people have turned away, 2 to 3 million people have turned away from watching wrestling because they know that what they're watching is not wrestling anymore. They're watching a TV show.
You know why, too,
an
Scotty?
episode.
Yeah.
And that just turns people stuck. They don't want to watch that. They want to watch wrestling. They want to be intrigued by the suspension of disbelief. They don't want to see somebody do all these flip-flops, chair shots, and tables, everything up. Get up and have somebody do a five-knuckle shuffle or a elbow drop and get beat 1, 2, 3 by Mr. Sacco. You know what I'm saying? They want to see a legit wrestling match. And that's what still sells tickets. People still want to see wrestling, whether they admit it or not, they do. They want to see what goes on in between the entrance and the exit. And if you look at it, you can still hear whenever I honestly still do watch every now and then a Raw or I rarely ever go watch SmackDown, but every now and then I watch a Raw for the fun of it. I watch whatever, and you can still hear the piped in cheers and boos, all that kind of stuff. And you can still hear out of like the top guys having matches, boring, this sucks, you can't wrestle. You know, you still hear the stuff that they can't drown out.
Yeah.
You watch people on the other side of the hard camera, and what are they doing? They're watching the big old Jumbotron on their cell phones going, hey, look, I'm on TV, yelling at their friends. They're not even watching matches anymore.
Well, that's why you look at Dana White with UFC. Okay, that thing.
Oh, dude.
I mean, that is what's drawing the people now. That's going to be $1 billion business. I remember
MMA has, I guarantee, don't want to, steal a maneuver here, but we'll definitely have the chokehold on the future of what, sports going to be like. Wrestling, mixed martial arts is the next venue of what people go see. I mean, even football players, T.O., has his own reality show because he wants to be a celebrity. Yeah, Chad Johnson wants to be, or Ocho Cinco, excuse me.
Everybody wants to go Hollywood. Everybody wants
a celebrity.
They want to be Hollywood. They want to sit there, the glitz and the glamour. You know something? Like wrestling.
They don't want to be athletes anymore.
Oh.
That's one reason why I have so much fun, to be honest with you, wrestling independence, because I reconnect with the fans, and I get to get in the ring with guys who love wrestling. They don't do it because there's a camera on them. They don't do it because of a big paycheck. They don't do it because of anything. They do certain things because they love wrestling. And I'm not going to put myself through some table because some yahoo just wants to make 25, 50 people go, oh my gosh, did you see that?
Yeah.
I learned, thank God, through Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes, when I wrestled for Dusty Rhodes' promotion, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, TCW. I was his heavyweight champion for 3 times over a year and a half span.
When was that?
That was right back around 2002, 2003.
Okay.
And was a part of Dusty Rhodes' organization. And Dusty was actually trying to make that one of those, testing grounds, one of those developmental territories for Vince.
Yeah, like
but Vince didn't want to go through with it, but who cares? He didn't. It would have changed the whole outlook of everything we were doing. Yeah. But I learned from Barry Windham, and I learned from Dustin, those guys, that you got more out of wrestling than you did out of, the spot fest that people have today. And people pay good money. We'd have 300, 400, 500 people at a pop show just announcing wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, ECW, all you had to do was put ECW coming to town, and it would be an automatic sellout, not even announcing a match. And that was what was so cool about ECW. They didn't have to they might put a list of RVD, Jerry Lynn, Scotty Riggs, Rhino, Sandman, all appearing, Sabu, those guys. But when it came down to like this guy, that guy in the middle of it, definitely will be seen on TV. They don't care about the wrestling, and they, believe me, like I said before, have some of the most tremendous talent there is in the business. They have some of the most beautiful women, but of course, the divas are copycats of what? Nitro Girls.
Well, if you think
Nitro
about it,
Girls started everything.
Yeah. If you think about it, I'll put wrestling, you know, in this perspective. I'll compare it to football. Okay, you have like the Pittsburgh Steelers, my team. The Raiders. These teams, they're hardcore.
Who's your team?
Steelers, Pittsburgh. So, but let me just.
We're gonna hate. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan.
No, but no.
Doomsday defense.
No, brother. But here goes the comparison. I'm going to get to you right now. All right. So we'll just talk about the Raiders. And the Raiders, you have a hardcore football team that's not about the glitz and the glamour or all that stuff. Now you go to the Cowboys. They're Hollywood. They know how to market it. That's why that's one of the most profitable teams in football.
Oh, to put that star on your helmet.
Yeah.
Makes night and day.
Yep. And that's why a guy like
really does.
A guy like
wear that star.
Yeah, with a guy like T.O. could have had that team in his hip pocket, but his ego just overtook him. Okay, you're not bigger than you're not bigger than the team. You can't be. You can't be. And that's why with wrestling you have WWE. That's Hollywood. Okay, and they have every right to be because that's what they're geared towards. You know,
Terry Funk once told me, if you want to go Hollywood, if I want to be in a movie with Patrick Swayze, I'll go to Hollywood where I have a SAG card, where I have a 401k, where I have insurance, where I have all these other things that Vince McMahon doesn't have.
Pension plan.
You have a stunt man, you have more than one take.
Yeah.
You have a plan. You have all these different things that go on. You know, that you're blessed with, instead of being stuck, you know, in the rut. When Vince is done with you,
Yep.
He'll take y'all back. Look at Bret Hart.
Yep.
Bret Hart spent 14 years building the WWF. You know, WWE then, or now WWF then. He spent his life building that company, building that territory. And how does Vince react to him now? Almost like he doesn't exist.
Yeah, but that's the way he is.
Owen Hart gave his life. Acts like he doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, it's Stu Hart when he was building that whole territory, when he had Stampede Wrestling over there. Okay, that whole organization was swallowed up by WWF at the time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and without...
Well, they tried to swallow up a whole lot of areas.
They did.
And the only reason they sold a whole bunch of talent from Vern Gagne's AWA, because Vern didn't have the financial backing, and Vince actually split against his father's wishes, from the NWA, which way back when the WWF used to be a part of.
Yeah, well, that's
whether people know that part or not, I don't know the whole legacy of it or the whole family tree of it, but I do know that at one point the NWA champion was a world champion. If you saw Ric Flair, you saw him 1 week in Georgia, the next week he'd be in Florida, the next week he'd be in Alabama, then he'd disappear for a couple weeks because he'd be in New Zealand or Japan or Australia or Nova Scotia or Canada. He'd actually be defending his world title against the number one contenders in these little territories. He would go around defending his belt, having hour Broadways against guys that he didn't know.
Well, I mean,
barely knew a thing from, but knew they could work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the ring with them.
Right.
And then you got Hulk Hogan catching flights. God bless Hulkster, love him to death, good friend. But you got Hulk wrestling this same guy, Joe Blow, Paul Orndorff, whoever you want to put out, whatever top heel you want to put out time, David Schultz. You'd have him wrestling the same guy 5-6 nights a week, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. Traveling to the airports, wearing the wrestling gear because they had to go make their town. And wrestle the same guy all over again because the guy that sold the most merchandise didn't know how to wrestle.
God forbid you get hurt. God forbid you get hurt. You're out of a job.
Oh, God forbid you got hurt. You wrestled hurt back then, especially for Vince, because if you got hurt, you lost your spot. You lost your chance to make money.
That's it. And then you were done, and then you'll work in the indie circuit, and your insurance isn't there, and you have no pension and all that crap, and then you're kind of screwed. And that happens a lot of times with a lot of guys.
Yeah, but if you look at it, Dana White and the UFC and all that type of stuff, they have changed their whole genre of their sport to where they wear the gloves, to where they're not just a boxer versus a wrestler like it started off being. You are a fully rounded mixed martial artist.
They evolve.
That's why it is so highly watched. If you ever go to Japan and you get in front of a crowd and you wonder why it's so quiet, it's not because the crowd's bored, it's because they're intently watching everything that you do. And when you do something and end up and all of a sudden you hear this loud thunderous applause or an ooh or an ah, you really, really went and astounded them, and they applauded it and went right back to watching what you did. Here in the States, they're screaming at you, hollering at you. You don't know if you're doing good, bad, or ugly. Hard to get a feel every now and then. But, it's the same thing with the MMA. Same thing, UFC, WEC, Pride, the whole 9 yards, all that kind of stuff that's out there. People watch what's going on inside that octagon, inside the ring itself, just because they want to watch it. They want to see how these guys are, chess. It's like a chess match. It's not a spot fest. It's a chess match. You got to build toward that crescendo. You got to suspend that disbelief. You got to make a person go, "Wow!"
You got to make
really, really just knock the crap out of him, or good grief, he missed him by a mile, and thank God for that cover up.
Well, if you think about it, if you believe in the saying, "History repeats itself," right now you can consider MMA like the Roman Colosseum. Okay, and then people are being.
It's definitely history repeating itself. Wrestling is a very cyclical sport. You'll find it reaching this high point where there are millions of people watching it and watch what's going on, and then it goes to a point where you got to find every character in Yahoo in the book to try to make everybody happy. And Vince, when he runs out of places to make money in the States, he starts running overseas.
Yep.
And what he's been doing as of late, running overseas a lot, where because he's on this up, he's on the sell stock now.
Yeah, well, he's
got stock people. He's got to keep it happy.
Yeah.
He's got to keep those publicly traded people happy.
Yep. And that's
the nature of that's what's a business, not a sport anymore.
Well, the WWE being a public company is a story for another day, because I have too many things to say about that one. But,
well, it'll still be around, and I still appreciate it, because if it wasn't for WWE still being out there, people's interest in wrestling would not be as nationally known as it is. And I don't say anything bitter about it. I don't feel bitter about it. I applaud every person that's there because they belong there. But no, it's not for me. If they offer me a deal right now, come wrestle with them, I'd actually say no, because I'm not a character. I'm a wrestler.
Right.
And if that's what you want, that's what you're going to get.
Right.
If TNA called and said, Scott, we want you to wrestle for us, I'd actually give them a second or third, fourth. I'd be sweating bullets over, do I want to go to work for those guys with Jeff Jarrett, Dixie Carter, and those cats, or do I not want to? Because they actually still put wrestling first. I hate that thing in the ring, but I still love the fact that those guys still put wrestling first, because they know that that's what's up.
Yeah, well, they know what they're doing. Jeff Jarrett, he's been doing it for some time. His father was doing it. He was doing it. It's not like he's a stranger to promoting shows or promoting a wrestling
organization.
He's like an artist with that. And just to touch on the WWE, let me tell you something. Vince McMahon, Linda, all of them, they did a great job with the WWE. They gave a lot of opportunities to a lot of people. So yeah, they're not doing anything big. They're doing what they're doing.
They're still doing guys a great job. They're preparing guys for, whether they know it or not, they're preparing people to do stuff after wrestling, which is good to a point, but the way they're using guys up beforehand is the sad part about it.
They've always been that way. They've always been, ever since they started gobbling up the territories, it was about, okay, you have to wrestle, this is what you're going to do, and when we're done with you, this is it, because this is a business. And as long as you look at it that way, yes, you understand their point. And I never slight at them for that, because it is a business to them. But as far as wrestling itself, if you want to get, to the core wrestling.
Well, when I first got into it, I was telling a friend of mine the other day, I was telling her, like, when I signed my deal, I was number 46 or 47 that signed the contract, and when I finished in the year 2000 with WCW, there was like 188 people under contract, from Nitro girls to referees to ring announcers to people who got signed under a deal and never wrestled once.
Oh yeah,
for that company, and were making $85,000 a year because they didn't. Well, I think it was WCW ATM.
Yeah, but that's what it was.
They got signed because they didn't want Vince to sign somebody else up. They were afraid that they might lose somebody to Vince.
That's why
they didn't want to do it.
That's back then.
That's why WWE folded.
Well, I was talking to Lanny Poffo, a few weeks ago, and he was telling me that too. Because he was signed there as well, the WCW, but he didn't work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that
he was as talented as anybody had.
Yeah, he still wrestles.
And they never used him.
Yeah, but he still wrestles right now in the indie circuit. He's been traveling to Canada and so on and so forth. You know, he's a sweetheart of a guy. Sweetheart, he's definitely a sweetheart. But yeah, but back then in WCW, they were just gobbling everybody up, but not doing anything with it. It's like, you know, if you're throwing money out the door, the bottom line is suffering.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to mention these two by name, but I know two folks that were one girl and one guy that were tremendous, I mean, tremendous talents, especially on the girls' side where they're lacking somebody who knows how to wrestle and how to compete and how to get in the ring and teach people who don't know how to wrestle. They actually fired them because as writers, we can't figure out what to do with you, so we're firing you. Isn't that your job as a writer to find something to do with them? Not that they don't fit what you're doing. It's a reflection of you, not them. And those two people got fired because of the lack of the other guy not doing his job correctly.
Well, the funny thing
that's what's sad about it.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, you look back to the old NWA, AWA, USWA. You had the Von Erichs. You had storylines. You had true storylines that people adhered to. The Full Horseman, this, that, the other thing, and they followed it.
You have people believed in.
Yes.
Whether or not that they had their doubts, they still believed it.
Right now in the locker room, do you have any kayfabe? No, there's none of that. All the information's all over.
They're trying to, but if you look at nowadays, back then you had a newspaper that you scoured to find out the results, or you got a magazine that was 3 months old that gave results that happened or something months earlier, or you got the show to find out what happened during the week. Once a week to find out, whether the good guy won or the bad guy won or who kept their belt. But the very next night you're finding out on pay-per-views, or 5 minutes after the pay-per-views off, the internet's out there is telling you who won and who lost and who argued and who didn't argue and all that kind of gaga that goes on, all the politics. It's like, good grief.
Yeah, it's a lot of craziness. I think that
it's a different world we do live in.
No doubt.
And
technology.
Yeah. there's different things you blame it on, but then again, you still also go, heck, it's a good thing. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't know what's going on either. So it's a two-headed monster.
I know that you have some stuff to do. I just want to ask you a couple of things that I'm sure people are interested in. Do you have any intentions on jumping into the Hollywood thing at all?
Do I have?
Would you be adverse to going into films, TV?
I'm not adverse to any opportunity or any networking that does come my direction. I've actually, I don't know how this gruff voice of mine comes across to you cats who are going to be listening to this, or see, I can make it even sound a little smoother when I want it to, or I can make it sound really mean if I need to. So there are a couple different aspects that you can kind of grasp into, and not that I'm not looking into venturing into other avenues of maybe celebrityism, you could call it, or maybe into acting, or I don't know if I want to do acting, if not more as in voiceovers or advertising. I'm not great in, here, let me throw this at you, and you got 3 weeks to learn it. Ah!
And that's the
Let me
pressure.
improv, and I'll do a lot better for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you know, if something came my way, I would not be averse to at least. I'm not ashamed. I'm not
if it makes
embarrassed,
sense, you'll consider it. That's what.
If it makes sense, I'll consider it. I'm not bashful, as in going after something that might pique my interest. Let's say that much. If it's something that actually, you know, makes sense to me, I'll go after it. It'll be something that you might have to fight me for.
All right, good deal. All right, so now.
So, yeah, definitely.
Oh, so that you're open to hearing whatever suggestions or opportunities, films and TV if they make.
I'm always open to any new challenge that presents itself to me, whether it's acting, whether it's voiceovers, whether it's, you know, something else that comes along that somebody else provides a chance for me. I'm up for it, bro. I'm always in the mix to doing different things, so, you know.
Good.
It's it gives me a chance to broaden my perspectives, and it gives me a chance to use what the good Lord above has blessed me with to the best of my abilities.
Good. I need to let everybody know that's going to be listening to this interview. It's been a hellish time keeping Scotty on the phone because of the thunderstorms and everything. And we've been breaking. So.
Has it been that long? Wow.
Yeah. So,
time flies by when you're having good fun, isn't it?
There you go. But I want to talk about two other things before I let you go, because I know you have somewhere to be. I know you're involved with charity events, and you're probably involved in a charitable organization. If you want to touch on that for a second.
There's definitely one group that Tim Lawler I work with a bunch called ETC, Entertainers That Care. He puts together a lot of different promotions with reality stars, professional wrestlers, football players, and a couple other people along the way that he has made contacts with, and puts together some things that I'm actually, me and Sick Boy, no part of the flock, or hooking up to face a team that was in TNA for a little while, the Naturals. Chase and Stevens, I think, is their Andy Chase, and some Stevens are Andy Stevens, and some Chase. I can't even think of what it is. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm flabbergasting your names, but it all goes to a good cause. I have just some other stuff from up in Virginia and in North Carolina, and he's got the coming up in Tennessee in October, and Illinois in March that I'm also going to be a part of. So there are a few other things that, when it comes down to it, I am a part of, and it's always great to be a part with Cancer Society and multiple sclerosis, a few other things that I have made contacts through. Alan Shepard used to be our promotional guy. Used to do things with him. Still keep in contact with him. He always puts my name out to other guys who want to put me to work and doing things for Children's Miracle Network and other things of that sort that I actually do take my time on my own schedule, and I even come on my own pocket and do it myself at times, just to, when I get a chance for a smile on somebody else's face, it all comes back and I go, I've done this for a reason. The crowd has made me who I am for a reason. So I appreciate the crowd as much as the crowd appreciates me.
That's a good thing to hear. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to talk about what's going on in Georgia with you?
Well,
about your place, or do you want to bypass that?
Actually, it's a little place in the Hillman Islands in South Carolina. It's a little rock right up the coast. It's the electric piano. There's 3 of us have been there since day one. We turned it into the real only live entertainment place there is in the area. When it comes to, if you even listen to the name of the club itself, the Electric Piano Bar. It's a piano bar. You walk in, the very first thing is a piano, and we're open Wednesdays through Sundays. Come by and see us. I'm always there glad-handing. Adam and Kelly are our bartender, and as soon as they get to know you, they know your drinks. So they take great care of you, and when it comes down to, if you ever want to drop me a line, I'm the only Scotty Riggs on MySpace who wants to be a fake Scotty Riggs. I know him at least. And I'm also on Facebook. So if you ever want to drop me a line and say that you heard this on that, and hey man, your voice does sound like crap, or your voice does, you do have a choice, you can change for something else. Bing bang boom, hey, you never know how it's going to turn out. So
let me just add on.
Those are 2 other ways that the fans that I answer all this stuff myself. I do it myself. I put it together myself, and it's a blessing to be able to reach back and give back to the fans. As minuscule as it may sound, it's still something that I can still, if they have a question, if they have, no matter how silly it is, I'll spend a couple hours a day here or there, or a couple hours a week, or however it goes, answering those questions to those people.
That's good. You're giving back to the people, and that's what fans want. They want interaction, and you're giving that to them, and I commend you for that.
Do my best.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not the best at it, but I do the best I can.
More than most. You have you guys out there that do nothing.
Well, unfortunately, that is true.
Yeah, I know. It's they do nothing. So, at least you're giving back to the fans, to the community. You're doing your charitable work, and that's.
Hey, I didn't do it because I knew it. I did it because it was ingrained in me. I learned it the hard way. Let's just say sometimes you gotta get things pounded into you a little bit. But Arn Anderson gave me a butt chewing one time that really, really made me go, "Yes, sir." So and then there was one time, another long story that it came to stinger. It was like, wow, brought us both to tears. So when you get a chance to go back to people, and you get a chance to broaden your perspective and everything else, you really, really, really do make the most of it. So you tend to go all above for all of it.
Well, a lot of people, they look at wrestling, oh, you're a wrestler, and this is who you are. But wrestlers are people. They're human.
We still breathe.
Yeah, you breathe, you cry, you laugh, the whole 9 yards, and that's what it's all about. You're there, you're doing what you do, but at the same time, you're there and you're human. So a lot of people seem to forget that. They think you're a machine. That you're going to go in the ring, do this, do that, and that's how you are outside of the ring, and that's not a fact.
Yeah, they forget that. Yeah, we are human beings. Sometimes they do remember that we are machines. Or they do think we're machines.
Yeah, no,
we are real.
Yeah, you're running a gimmick. I mean, look at what they did to Chris Jericho. The poor guy got out of his car and he got attacked by a woman. Things happen. Because
I know. That was weird, wasn't it?
Oh, my God. People get too crazy. But look, you're doing some great stuff. The piano bar, the electric piano bar is in Georgia. That's in South Carolina,
It's
right?
in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Hilton Head, South Carolina. People, you're there.
It's called the EP, actually. If you ever look it up, it's called EP. Instead of electric piano, it's just EP on Hilton Head Island. So it's easier known. It's easier to remember that way.
Okay, EP.
So.
Now, Scotty, do you have any events coming up that you want to plug while we have you?
Right off the hand about the next actually wrestling event I got coming up is I just actually got it September in Austin, Texas for Anarchy Championship Wrestling. Me and Jerry Lynn and Lodi and Sick Boy will make an appearance there. We're going to be doing a little 8-man tag, a little ECW flock style craziness if you get the gist of it. So it's going to be fun. But
how's your elbow?
Right now I'm still just enjoying life, kind of taking it, as it comes to me. So
how's your
I'm
elbow?
enjoying it. The elbow's doing good. I've had my third surgery on it in December, where I fractured a bone, and it took 13 screws and 2 steel plates to fix it. Got all of it taken out except for 3 screws. Just had a surgery to fix the nerve damage, and it's getting better. It's gonna be a lot better. So. Just kind of, that's why I'm doing the 6-man, 8-man tags. Still doing it right for the fans, but, still, maintaining my health.
Yeah, well, you have to stay healthy because you want to continue to do this as long as you can. And you don't
Andy Stevens, oh, God, I had his name. Good grief, he's going to hate me for this.
don't
I'll remember him.
Don't sweat it, but
Or you'll plug him for me.
yeah, that's out in Austin, right?
It's out of Nashville, Tennessee, and it's going to be in October.
Okay, all right, good deal. Well,
October 19th.
Well, we're going to have you back on the show, Scotty, because I think we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I think you and I could stand on the phone for hours and talk about all this stuff and not get bored.
Bro, I did like 4 or 5 hours of the High Spots video that these guys are going. Scotty Riggs was talking about things that he wasn't rambling, but out of idiocy, he was so detailed, it was incredible. So, Chris Jericho used to ask you what time it is, and he'd go, Scotty Riggs' response would be, I'll tell you how to build a watch, but never tell you what time it was. So, I'm still known for that.
That's good. I think that you're going to have a lot of stuff going positive in your direction. I think the future's bright. I want to thank you for taking time today for the interview. It was insightful. The bottom line, it was real. And that's what we're all about, is being real, getting the real stuff out there, man.
I got no punches to pull. I'm as real will give you, brother. Believe me, every time.
You're a great guy. As I said, I am certain of this, that your future, whether it be in the ring, big screen, little screen, whatever it may be, is going to continue to shine bright as you move forward. I believe in that wholeheartedly.
Thank you, my friend, and believe me, it was my pleasure doing this GCW radio show. Believe me, Louis, it's my pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you, Scotty.
You guys take care.
And that was Scotty Riggs. Remember, you can find out more about Scotty Riggs by going to MySpace. MySpace, I believe it's myspace.com/Scotty Riggs. Facebook again, Scotty Riggs, and probably on Twitter as well. So just look up Scotty Riggs and you'll find him. He's a great guy. And for all of those Hollywood types that are looking for someone of substance, well, this is a guy you want to look at if you're looking for someone with a gritty voice. And that's about it for this segment of UCW Radio. and we'll be back with you next week.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.